All right, today we're doing something a little different. We are pulling back the curtain on one of the sharpest, most focused minds in investing, Mohnish Pabrai. We're going to get right into his U.S. portfolio and see exactly where he's placing his biggest bets right now, and trust me, the strategy is, well, it's more concentrated than you can probably imagine.
You know, have you ever really wanted a peek inside the confidential playbook of an investing legend? I'm not talking about what they said in an interview 6 months ago. I mean, what are they actually doing with their cash right now? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do.
So let's start with the scale. The total value of the U.S. portfolio we're looking at is just over $271 million. Now, that's a lot of money for sure, but what's truly mind-blowing isn't the size of the fund, it's how he's chosen to deploy it. He's invested that entire $271 million into just 5 companies. That's it. 5. I mean, let that sink in. This isn't your typical diversification. This is extreme, high-conviction, concentrated betting. It's a true masterclass in focus.
So where is all this money, all this conviction, actually placed? The entire portfolio, 100% of it, is built on just these 5 companies. This is the blueprint right here.
And here they are. Just take a look. I mean, the pattern just jumps right out at you, doesn't it? This portfolio is almost completely dominated by just 2 core themes, metallurgical coal and offshore drilling. We're talking classic old economy sectors. Warrior Met Coal is his #1 position, but what's really interesting is how this has been shifting, including that little surprise, that brand new position you see right there at the bottom.
Okay, now we get to the really good stuff. Because, looking at a snapshot of holdings is one thing, but the real story, the real insight is in the changes. Where did he put fresh capital to work this past quarter? This is what tells us where his conviction is growing the most right now.
So he didn't just sit on his hands this quarter. No way. He made a massive move. And it wasn't about chasing some new shiny object. He looked at the cards he was already holding and decided to push a huge pile of chips onto one of his current bets.
He jacked up his stake in the offshore driller Valaris by nearly 32%. Just think about that. This wasn't a little trim or a rebalance. This was a major injection of capital. It actually boosted Valaris to become his second largest holding, almost neck and neck with his top coal bet. And when you zoom out, you really see the big picture. When you combine that huge Valaris position with his other offshore driller, Noble Corporation, he now has roughly 46% of his entire U.S. portfolio staked on a recovery in this one single industry. He's not just testing the waters here, folks. He is all in on a massive cyclical comeback for offshore drilling.
But his moves didn't stop there. He also made one, and only one, brand new purchase this quarter. And honestly, it's in a sector that, on the surface, feels like it came completely out of left field compared to the others.
He opened up a new position in AutoNation, which is the biggest car retailer in the entire United States. It's about a $12 million stake, making up about 4.5% of the portfolio. And this is a really fascinating move. It just begs the question, what on earth does a deep value bloodhound like Pabrai see in the seemingly boring business of selling cars that the rest of the market might be completely missing?
So, we've seen the big moves, but to really get inside his head, to understand the whole strategy, you have to look at the foundation of the portfolio. We need to dig into his #1 holding to really understand the core thesis here.
Right, with this huge new bet on offshore drilling, this surprising new entry into auto retail, why is nearly half the portfolio and his single biggest position still a massive wager on metallurgical coal? And remember, this isn't the stuff for power plants. This is the specific kind of coal you absolutely need to make steel.
And this right here, this is the key. It brilliantly illustrates his entire philosophy, which he lays out in his amazing book, The Dhandho Investor. The guiding principle is so simple. Few bets, big bets, infrequent bets. You just wait patiently for that incredible, obvious opportunity, and when you finally find one, you bet heavily. That is exactly what he has done with coal. So here's the crucial thing to understand. He's not just buying a rock. He's investing in a critical, non-negotiable ingredient for global steelmaking. He's also targeting a distressed, capital-starved industry that pretty much every other investor has abandoned. See, the market looks at all that and sees uncertainty, and it calls it risk. Pabrai sees that exact same uncertainty and recognizes a potential low-risk entry point with an absolutely huge potential upside. It's a classic, textbook Dhandho setup.
Okay, so we've looked at the holdings, we've looked at the big moves, and we've talked about the core philosophy. So what does it all add up to? Let's distill this down into one clear, powerful takeaway from his entire playbook.
So here it is, the entire strategy in one simple picture.
This portfolio is really an exercise in radical focus. He has essentially made two massive, incredibly concentrated bets on what he sees as undervalued, unloved, old economy sectors: metallurgical coal and offshore drilling. I mean, together, they make up 96% of his U.S. holdings. He is doubling and tripling down on conviction.
And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Pabrai's playbook forces us to ask ourselves, what hated or just plain ignored industries out there today are being completely mispriced by the market? Where has everybody confused short-term uncertainty for long-term risk? Because that's usually where the real opportunities are hiding. You know, learning to think like a contrarian is such a powerful tool. If you want to see how other legends apply it, you should explore some of our other deep dives on the world's most fascinating investors right here on the channel. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next playbook we uncover. Thanks so much for watching.